Hello everyone, welcome back to the ChessGeek channel. Today we're starting a new masterclass book series on chess calculation training, Middlegames. Now, this book, in my opinion, does not get the love and recognition that it should. And I think that becomes really clear when you look at the chapter lists of this book, because what you'll notice is that the chapters are super unique, but they're super crucial skills for your middle game improvement. So I'm going to read the titles of some of these chapters and you'll see how unique they are. So first of all, I should mention in this video and in the next one, we're going to be looking at chapter 1, the warm-up chapter, which essentially is just a collection of spectacular puzzles that will get your mind sharp for the remainder of the book. But what you'll notice as you scroll down these chapters is there's some really incredible ones. For example, chapter 4, playing the right move under pressure. So you have to defend. You've probably been defending for a long time. The opponent seems to have a crushing attack, but there's one real move that stays in the game. So can you find that nice defensive idea? The chapter below that is now attacking idea, of devastating attacking move. You see chapter 7 also is a killer positional move, which is really exciting because there's a lot of tactical ideas and puzzles in this book, but also a full chapter dedicated to beating your opponent positionally, which is super useful and effective. You also see below that finding a missed move, a move that was not played by these really strong players that you now have a chance to find. And then you have an evaluating the opportunity, and this is perhaps one of the most unique and important chapters of the book, because when you're actually sitting down at the board and playing, you're going to have a lot of moves racing through your head. And one of the most important skills is taking a move and deciding, is this a good opportunity? Is this good for me? Is this bad for me? Evaluating a move. And this is exactly what chapter 9 is all about. You're going to get a move presented by the author, and we need to evaluate it and see if it's any good or not. After that, making the right choice in chapter 10, again, super important and unique skill. The author is going to give us two moves. One is good, one is bad. We have to find the nuances, the subtle differences, and figure out which move wins and which doesn't. So you can see here, just by that little preview, there's some really exciting and unique topics covered in this book that I think will be very beneficial for your middle game improvement. So with that out of the way, let's jump into today's video. Now, as I mentioned in the video today, we're going to be looking at the warm-up chapter. Here I have 6 puzzles in this chapter, and I have a little challenge for you. I'd recommend take these puzzles seriously. Pause each one, try to find the move. Some will be harder, some a little easier, and write down in the comments how many of these puzzles you get correct. So let's jump straight into the first one, which is what you see on screen right now. White to play. What is the winning move here? Okay, pause the video. Hopefully you did and you got enough time to think about this one. The move here is the really spectacular Queen G6 check. Notice the bishop super strong on this diagonal, cutting the king, and that gets really highlighted after you see some of the differences with the lines that black has here after Queen G6 check. So they have a couple of options. If they take with the pawn, first of all, you have knight to H6 checkmate, a very beautiful one, a knight and bishop checkmate, which is quite rare and very stunning when you see it. If they take with the knight, the exact same checkmate still exists on the board. And finally, the key difference with the rook, of course, you don't have knight H6, but now you have knight E7, and you're not winning the queen back. Well, you are technically, but more importantly, it's still checkmate. So this was actually just a checkmate in 2. The key here was finding the move Queen G6, right? Getting this move even in your head, considering it. And the way you do so really is thinking about checks, captures, attacks. This is one of the nice systematic approaches that you have to solving tactical puzzles. Let's move on. So puzzle 2, with the black pieces, what is the winning and crushing move here that black has? Pause the video for some more time. Here it is. The move is Queen E5. Very stunning indeed, setting up a couple of threats. The main one is this mate threat. But if they defend the mate threat with a move like c3, well, suddenly this rook is also attacked. So in a way, it's a forked. And the key here, the reason that this works is because the king is out of squares. And so if rook takes queen, there is a back rank checkmate. So hopefully you found this one. It's a very nice idea using a ton of different factors. The pressure along this diagonal, the undefended rook, and of course, the very weak back rank that white has in this position. Moving on, puzzle number 3 is in front of you. Take some time and try to figure out this one here. In this position, the winning move is queen takes f6 check. Again, considering checks is usually a good way to approach these problems, and what you should notice here is after the king takes, there is now this line of fire between the rook and the king. So you should consider knight moves, which would by default be checks, and after some consideration and some calculation, you hopefully saw this beautiful idea, knight e8 here, with a couple of purposes. First of all, this is a double check now, so you can't block the check, you can't, you can't really block the check because it comes from 2 different avenues, and equally important, you are cutting away this escape square here on g7 for the king, and if you notice here, the pawns take away the king coming down the board. The rook is slicing here. This is simply checkmate, ladies and gentlemen. Puzzle number 4 is on the screen for all of you. So pause this one, give it a shot. Here is the solution. The move here is knight f6 check. This is really stunning. You are by force crashing through. And the point is after they take, and they kind of have to take because their queen is hanging, although now that I look at this, there's even this mate threat, so more or less they need to take here. But now hopefully you saw this idea of going queen g6 check, utilizing this pin. The pawn cannot take, and after the king takes, what we've essentially done is sacrifice the knight in order to brutally, by force, get the queen in to this aggressive position, and now is just some final touches that we need in order to finalize the attack. So bishop takes f7 here, threatening mate, hitting the rook, and after bishop g7 to intercept this mate threat, well here, you should play realistically e takes f6. I know it's tempting to take the rook, but and this is winning, by the way, but much better is to take the pawn, and the way that you would conceptualize this decision is essentially you want to attack here. Material doesn't matter. We've just sacrificed a knight to get in, so we don't really want to trade back, win some material, but kind of get rid of our attack a little bit. It's better to keep all of these pieces right next to this king where the tactical ideas are overwhelming and it's actually a mating attack. So very nice idea here, sacrificing the knight to get the queen in. And again, this is check, so something you should look for and consider. And similarly, in this position, queen g6 also checks. We are on example 5 now, and this is my favorite one of the video today because this is geometrically a very pleasing example, and you'll see what I mean after you give it a try. So make sure you pause this one and give it a shot. Here is the solution. Rook to c4. Utilizing the poor placement of the king and queen and the super strong knight. Hopefully you saw that after queen takes c4, there is this move knight e3 check, and you are winning the queen for the rook, and the resulting position is completely winning. And the key here, the really beautiful detail is that, well, if the queen just moves, you have rook takes c2 with the exact same idea, only this time you won a piece. So if they don't take, you're up a piece. If they do take, this same fork exists, very similar to the last one. So this knight, an absolute monster here in the center of the board, and it allows for some stunning tactics. We are moving on now to the final puzzle in the video today. This is example number 6. And this is just a very technical example. I mean, it's just a very tactical idea, and you have to really consider many variations, many lines. So if the previous puzzles were maybe a little simple for you, this one hopefully will be a bit more challenging. So pause the video and try to figure this one out. Here is the solution. The move is queen takes h5. And the point is, after pawn takes, we now can unleash this bishop. Bishop takes h7. And I think what maybe threw off a couple of people here is the fact that there isn't actually a mate. But one of the things you have to consider when you're calculating is, what are you actually playing for? So what we've done here is sacrifice the queen. So we don't need to mate them, we just need to win back sufficient material to make this sacrifice work. And that's exactly what we can do with the critical move knight e takes f7, check. And after rook takes, which is forced, we won the exchange here with the rook. We also won the knight, they win a bishop, but then we regain our queen, right? So this is the key, this little fork in the end. We regain the queen, and in the resulting position, we are up material and winning. So this was a nice little touch here. The one thing that you do have to also consider, though, is what if they don't take? So here your queen is hanging, so they could, technically do a couple of things. They could consider f6 here. They could consider h6, for example. Let's consider what happens if h6. You also should, technically, if you're calculating this out and if you're going to consider at least playing it in a real game, you want to consider all of these side variations because they may just be the saving move for the opponent. So after h6 here, you also wanted to see a very similar idea. Knight takes f7. Again, we are hitting the queen. And after rook takes, knight takes. If they ever take our queen, we take their queen. And if they take with the king, queen takes g7, and we are winning. And the final thing is in this position, after we take on f7, they can also take our knight. But here, there's a couple of options, but knight to h6 check is cleanest, forcing the king back. And here simply bishop takes g6 with various mating threats in the position. Black will not survive this position, not at all. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. This was just really a scatter of random puzzles in the warm-up section, but what you'll see is that as we get deeper into this book, you're going to see more of an organized selection of puzzles, which I think hopefully you will appreciate and your chess will also improve from. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you're new around here and you don't want to miss out on this series, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.